Alzheimer's disease impacts the lives of many families around the world. Even here in our little Twin Island Federation, it has no cure, and even the progression of the disease cannot be cured. This segment is in honor of World Alzheimer's Day, which is acknowledged every year on the 21st of September. This morning, we welcome Dr. Joan Rawlins, President of the Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. A pleasant good morning, Dr. Rawlins, and welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. It's indeed our pleasure. So can you tell us right off the bat, what is Alzheimer's disease?
Alzheimer's disease is a disease of the brain. And I think it's important for us to know that because some people do not believe it is a disease of the brain. They just think it's something that older people are making up. But it is a disease of the brain. Plaques and tangles form in the brain, making it difficult for the brain to work as it would have worked before. So the brain doesn't function properly anymore because of these plaques and tangles, which are preventing messages from going from one part of the brain to the other and from the brain to the parts of the body. So that's what it is. It is real. It happens, the brain gets smaller, and people are not able to function. Cognition is affected. That is to say, people cannot think the way they thought they were thinking before. They cannot remember the way they remembered before. Their personality and so on might change, and they might appear confused. They might appear confused.
So if I were a person who's related to someone whom I think might exhibit these symptoms, is that all that I would have to look for, or perhaps there are other indicators?
The other indicators, we often speak of the 10 early warning signs of dementia. And I just mentioned some of these. Those would be like memory, thinking, planning. For example, if you're an accountant and you're very busy with your figures and you know how to add up very quickly and so on, you might not be able to do that anymore. You might not be able to think abstractly anymore. If you were the organizer around the house and the church and the family, all of a sudden you appear a bit scattered in your behavior, and the great big planner, organizer of everybody is not able to plan and organize anymore. And there will be changes in personality, mood, and so on.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Jamie.
I do need to ask a follow-up here. Is this an inevitable part of growing older?
I'm glad you asked that, because this is something people ask all the time. It is not inevitable. It really is not. And it's a problem in that some people believe it is. And they say, oh, well, forget about it. You're 65. What do you expect to happen? But it's not inevitable. It doesn't have to happen to everybody, and it does not happen to everybody. It is more likely to happen to persons, yes, over the age of 65. But not everybody. In other words, if you're out there and you're 65, there's no reason for you to believe you're going to get Alzheimer's, because it doesn't work like that. With that, I suppose I can mention certain risk factors. The research out there suggests that about 50% of all cases of Alzheimer's dementia would not happen if people would change their lifestyle. Many of the lifestyle conditions are what lead us to Alzheimer's dementia. By that I mean, if you could see about your high blood pressure, that is, if you're hypertensive, get that down, or live a lifestyle in which you might never even get dementia. Cut out your smoking, cut out your excessive drinking, and those kinds of things. In fact, the research which was done in 2020 in the UK says there are about 12 different things that all of us as individuals could do to reduce our risk for dementia, Alzheimer's dementia.
So I know you mentioned at 65, I tend to, someone will speak to me now, and the next 10 minutes I'll be like, and they'll tell me, and I'll be like, I said that? So does dementia affect somebody that's younger than 65?
It can affect people younger than 65. And if it happens before age 60, we call that early onset Alzheimer's. But that is not frequent at all. It's only about 5% of all cases. And the example you just gave about, you say something and you're not sure, that's because you're busy. All of us are busy, all of us are stressed, all of us are rushing around. And if we're rushing around and so busy and have 1,000,001 things to do, we will forget some of the things that we're doing. So I should add that the memory issues of Alzheimer's are not ordinary memory issues. They are the issues which affect daily living. So So if your memory relates to you don't know where your phone is or you don't know where your keys are in a moment, that happens to all of us. We live busy lives. We put our phone down, we go down to the bathroom, we come back, we go into the kitchen, we go in the living room, and then we don't remember in that moment where the phone is. But if we can retrace our steps and find the instrument, then we're not with dementia, we're perhaps not even in any danger of it. It's just normal living, okay? And especially if it's an older person. Older people, I like to think of it like, it's a computer. Our brains are like computers, and so they're kind of full, so there's hardly any space right there.
Store anything else.
Right, for store anything more for that
Yes,
moment. That's perhaps not strictly scientific, but what I'm saying is that if you're older, there's so many things going on. You're worried about your grandchildren, you're worried about your children, you're worried about what's going to happen when you grow older. There's space for some of that. Yes, and it's not dementia.
I love your analogy because I look at it as a filing system. It's like a cabinet. Where are my reference points? I might not remember one, but I know where to get to find
Exactly.
it. So the indices are important.
And that's the important point. If you can retrace your steps, you're good. That's normal. You don't have dementia, you don't have Alzheimer's.
Good to know. All right, so Dr. Rawlins is president of the Alzheimer's Association of St. Kitts. What can you tell us about the mission of that association?
Yes. Our association was founded in 2014. That is, I started it myself with a group of individuals from the Moravian Seniors Club and someone from the Ripple Institute, Dr. Isben Williams. So we were on the ground with it. So you might say we're the founders of this association. The main mission of our association is to create awareness about the disease because there's a fair amount of ignorance about Alzheimer's disease. So we want to create awareness in the general population, and then we want to educate the family members and caregivers so that they can know the best practices as how to manage their relatives with the disease. Because there's a lot of confusion, as I think I mentioned a little earlier. Some people believe that it's just spitefulness in old people. It's just old people who are difficult and have a grudge against somebody, and therefore they play up, they behave strangely, they forget what they want to forget and remember what they want to remember. It's not really that. All of this change in behavior that we see really relates to what's happening in the brain. And it's gradual, it's a gradual process. So things are changing, and things are changing all the time. And we might speak of the early stage, the middle stage, and the later stage. And all of these stages are different and people have to be treated differently in those stages.
Dr. Rawlins, I'd like to revert to something that you said before by way of memory. As I was listening to you speak about Alzheimer's, my question to you is, I'm pretty sure we've had these conversations with people, and we hear them say something one minute, they're recounting a story, older people, and maybe 5 minutes after, they give you the same story as if you've never heard it before. Is that one of the symptoms, or is that something else?
Yeah, no, that's very real. That's one of the things that the relatives will complain about. Because what happens with Alzheimer's is that the short-term memory is affected. The short-term memory begins to go, and then it keeps on going, and then after a while, the short-term memory is completely gone. So they will not remember who just called them on the phone. They will not remember the conversation they were just having, but they will remember what happened when they were 5 years old and they were running on the beach, and when they were 12 years old at a Sunday school concert or something like that. But the short-term memory, unfortunately, is shot, it's gone. And that is why they will repeat things as if they haven't asked it before. Where's my lunch? Where's my lunch? I haven't had my lunch. And the worst part about that is they have already eaten their lunch, but they will have forgotten that they had the lunch because the short-term memory is gone. And this creates a problem for families because the family member who's not the caregiver comes to visit, and then the family member will be told by this person with dementia, they're not feeding me, they don't give me anything to eat because they've forgotten that they've eaten. And it's really a problem for family members. So caregivers and family members have a really hard deal with Alzheimer's disease. But in all of this, we have to remember that we're dealing with our loved ones, we're dealing with people we care about, and we have to have a lot of patience because whatever it is they're doing is not their fault, okay? What they're doing is part of the disease. They're changing from the person we knew before, but it's not their fault.
Well, it's very important when we talk about caregivers and their roles, as you rightly said, because I was relating to you earlier that there are people that I've been aware of whose family members have suffered with this, and finding proper care for such individuals is proving to be a challenge. I imagine it's not only stressful for the family members, but the thought of leaving your loved one in the care of someone else. What does your association do by way of availing people of resources?
Okay. Um, we have our association, as we've already been discussing, and we invite persons who are caregivers to be part of our association. We have not yet developed a complete registry of caregivers, but this is something we're working towards. So the time will come when we will have a registry of good caregivers, persons we can recommend, so that when relatives have to go abroad, they will not worry so much about leaving the mother, father, or elder relative behind. But it is an issue because even if you know a caregiver is going to be there, you're still going to be worrying somewhat. It's difficult. Alzheimer's is a unique, difficult condition which creates stress for all the family members. And as I say that, I need to make the point that the caring should be shared. It should never be left to one family member because to care for someone with Alzheimer's dementia 24/7, it's very difficult and could lead to ill health of the caregiver. So that is something we have to deal with, sharing the caring.
That's
What about support for your association? Since you're out there making us aware of the disease of Alzheimer's.
It's good that you have asked. We haven't gotten as much support as we would like. Okay, people are appreciative of what we do. They're very appreciative, and they say that. We have gotten some support in the past. COVID has not been good to us, like it hasn't been for everybody else. It's brought some businesses down. It's certainly reduced our activities, and we have not done any fundraising in 3 years. We did fundraising before, and people were fairly generous to us. I'm not going to call the names of the companies. I don't think I'm supposed to do that here. But people have been good to us in the past, but we need more people to be even better to us in the future. I don't know if you all noticed that one of the companies around town had their buildings lit in purple. The lighting of the building, I can say the name of the company. Yeah, TDC agreed to light their building on Frigate Bay in purple because purple is the color we use for the Alzheimer's disease. And we asked them, and they did that for us. They've helped us in other ways before, materially. They've helped us in other companies. We had our fundraiser at Marshall's Restaurants twice, and it was excellent. We made some really good money at that fundraiser. We were not able to do it again. We should have done it in 2021, but because of the COVID, we were not able to do that. But we look forward to a time when we can fundraise again because we're all volunteers. There's no salary. Nobody gets a salary. All of us are volunteers. And for me, I sometimes say it's almost like a full-time job. I'm retired, right? I'm a retired academic. I used to teach at the university before of the West Indies. But I retired, and so I don't have, well, I have my pension and my income from before, but we get no salary. Those of us who work for the association, we do this voluntarily.
So it's a labor of love, and you definitely need support, and you welcome it more.
Yes, you're correct. We welcome, and as you say, we'd welcome it. We also on a recruitment drive. We would like to have some new members because most of us are like my age. Some of them a little bit older even. So we need some new people. We need fresh blood, young people. We want to welcome you to become members of our association. Or if you don't want to be a regular member, you could become a friend of the association, which means we can call upon you for your skills, like your computing skills. Recently, someone in the media joined our association, and she's been doing a wonderful job on our Facebook page. Because apart from being the president, I used to run the Facebook page myself. I used to do all kinds of many of the other tasks, and I'm really very happy. Can we say her name? Yeah, Carla Berridge. She's now doing the public relations for us, and she's made a big difference to our Facebook page. So we really thank her. And while I'm here, I'd like to thank all the other people who help us in whatever way they've helped us in the past, and we look forward to you giving us more help in the future.
How can persons who are interested in finding out more about the association or even volunteering or contributing in any way, how can we get in contact with you?
Okay. We have a Facebook page, right? So you can reach us there. We have a Gmail address, alzskn@gmail.com. So that's alzskn@gmail.com, or Facebook page, or 760-5182. 760-5182. That's our telephone number. So they can reach us at all those places. And we meet regularly the third Monday of every month at the Girl Guides building in Taylor's Range, and our meeting starts at 10. And I know that's a difficult hour for people who are working, but we're open to other times as we gather the people who want to be part of our organization.